So TCP IP and OSI reference model and little bit of housekeeping commands we saw. Enable, right? And user mode, enable, privilege mode, configure, terminal. Then we come to the global mode, or also known as the config mode. Then we can from there change the host name, right? Give a host name or change it. And from there we can go to, we can select a port, interface, gigabit 000, etc. And below the interface mode, we can give no shut command to enable that port and an IP address and subnet. When I say IP address, it means a subnet mask also, right? So we give IP addresses to interfaces. So that we did. And yesterday we saw some console port passwords, right? How to give them on the router, how to secure your console port. So line console 0 from the global mode and password CCNA and login. Likewise for line auxiliary port, right? AUX, line AUX 0 and the password blah 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 and login. Likewise for 5 telnet ports, 0 to 4 VTY ports, VTY, right? Virtual terminal lines or virtual terminal ports, or in short, telnet ports. So others can telnet into me. I am a router. 5 different people can simultaneously telnet into me because I got 0 to 4, 5 ports, correct? So telnet port, and I'll show you more about telnet also. We'll do that lab. I mean, keep on doing telneting. But when I telnet from here to there, it will ask for a password. So the password that is supplied goes in clear text. So telnet is not very good because the password that travels right to the LAN or WAN it goes in clear text. So telnet, as we know, it uses TCP protocol and the destination port number is 23, correct? But better than telnet is SSH, secured shell, because like telnet, we can take remote control or log in into a remote device without getting up from my chair. I can telnet into a remote device, maybe a router or a switch in my LAN or over the WAN, head office, branch office, right? We are talking only about intra networks. That means head office, branch office. So when I SSH into another device, the password that doesn't go in clear text, right? So it goes encrypted. So better than telnet is SSH, secure shell, right? So SSH again uses TCP and the destination port is 22, correct? Something like this. And we'll shortly take up now IP addressing. But before that, I think I forgot to tell you about cables, right? Rollover cable and crossover cable, right? Rollover cable and crossover cable and straight through cable. 3 kinds of cables, right? That we can use. I'm talking about copper cables right now, right? So, uh, and did I tell you about collision domain and broadcast domains? And did I tell you about the differences between a hub and the bridge and the switch, guys? Can you give me a feedback quickly? I think, is my screen shared? Yes or no? Yeah, I think my
Yes,
screen
sir.
is shared, correct? So now, okay. So now, just tell me, I remember I haven't told you anything about the cables, right? But did we discuss collision domains and broadcast domains? Did I draw a router and 3 ports and took 3 hubs and showed you today's day 6, correct? I have to discuss cables, right? And have we talked about collision domains and broadcast domains, right? Broadcast domain. Have I told you about this? Did I take and the differences again? Did we discuss differences between a router and a switch and a hub? Yeah, guys, give me feedback. Have we discussed differences between a hub, bridge, a switch, and a router? I don't remember. Yeah. Okay, we'll quickly
Starting
discuss
में
this.
क्या था?
Yeah, tha? Okay. Let us quickly talk about, I said cables. And what more did we say? Collision domains and broadcast domains. And what more? Differences between hub, right? Bridge, switch, and a router, right? So let me quickly finish this also. Okay. Look, if you look at the devices, right? Like the hub, The differences, right? The bridge, which has been improvised and now we call it switch. So nobody in the world uses a hub and the bridge, they are obsolete, right? And the router. So one difference is hubs come on physical layer of OSI reference model, right? Bridges and switches come on data link layer of OSI reference model and routers come on network layer, correct? The number of ports, right, on a hub are less, right? The number of ports on the bridge are more than a hub, right? I am drawing this, but it exactly doesn't mean these many ports only. This is only a symbolic thing, right? And the switch may have more number of ports than a bridge, right? In fact, it may have 8 ports or 12 ports or 24 ports or 48 ports, right? Something like this. And routers again can have maybe up to 200 ports, right? But router, all these devices, hub, bridge, and switch, they come in the LAN, right? We use them in the LAN. But router connects the LAN to a WAN, correct? So differences in terms of the layers, differences in terms of the ports. Now hub, this donkey hub works on half duplex, right? So we saw that CSMA CD, right? Carrier sense multiplexes collision detection mechanism. That means one device can either send or receive one thing at a time, right? So when one is sending, others cannot send. But on a switch, because it works on full duplex, device can send as well as simultaneously receive traffic and collisions never happens, right? Duplex. So that means CSMA CD circuit is disabled on the switch. Collisions don't happen. Collisions happens means, right, it will be slow and eat away bandwidth and all those things. So, okay, now bridge. Now what's the difference between a bridge and a switch? Bridge is actually slow because all the processing is done by the CPU, right? And in software. But bridge has been improvised and they call it switch. By the way, first switch was invented in the USA by some, I guess, by some Indian man because the name of the switch was Kalpana switches, right? I think Kalpana is an Indian name and right, Kalpana means we know what idea, right? So I think that was an Indian guy who invented the first switch in the world anyway, in the US. So, but switches are hardware oriented, right? So processing is done by the CPU first, and then it has got ASICs, right? Means integrated circuits, means chips in every port, right? So what happens is CPU first does the processing in the switch also, right? And the resultant, it makes the tables, right? Routing table or MAC address table, it builds the table or ARP table and stores a copy of the tables, right? Prepared by the CPU in software, exactly the copies in every port, right? So when data comes, they don't have to look at the tables that is maintained by the CPU in software. They have the copies there only. So they know they receive it here only and look here only and then forward it. Okay, it says forward from this port, they'll forward it immediately. So that is also known as CEF, Cisco Express Forwarding, right? These tables, right? MAC address table, or a routing table, assuming it's a layer 3 switch. So it will prepare a routing table also. It will maintain, right? A MAC address table, routing table, and ARP table, right? So copies of these tables are stored in the hardware in every port. So switching becomes faster. Okay, in a bridge, we can configure only one VLAN, right? One VLAN. You cannot configure more VLANs, but on a switch, you have one VLAN. All ports belong to VLAN one only by default, but we can keep on creating thousands of VLANs, right? We can create thousands of VLANs, right? Maybe 1,000 VLANs on some switch, 4,094 VLANs on some switch, something like this. And let me just tell you right now, let us not get into VLAN, which means a broadcast domain or a logical group. Let me just tell you one thing, that by creating more number of VLANs, the performance of the network goes up. We'll look at VLAN later on, right? By creating more number of VLANs, the performance of the network goes up. Just remember that, right? So now tell me, who can answer? Is it good to put all users in one VLAN only? Or is it good to put all users in different divided VLANs? Yeah. Which one is a better thing?
Different VLANs.
Correct? So different VLANs is the right answer. So we can have different users in different VLANs, and we'll talk of that later on. Why exactly? Right? So I'm looking how thick I can go. I don't, it says color and thickness, but I don't have anything more thicker than this. Let me see this one. No, it doesn't make any difference. Anyway. Okay. So this is it. Uh, okay. And what more? Bridge is gone, right? Obsolete now. Nobody uses a bridge. So only switches are being used. Again, man, I have to come back to black, but I don't see the thickness increasing. Okay. So what more? Bridges, switches. Okay. Now routers. And if we talk of we are talking about the differences, right? Router. So let us talk about the differences in terms of collision domains and broadcast domain again, right? So collision domains and broadcast domains. So what do we understand by collision domain and broadcast domain? Okay. So now what do I do with the pages here? Add one more page or what? Okay, I'll keep on adding pages now for the time being today, right? So this is page number 2. So now look, collision domain, at least better, and a broadcast domain.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Dansi is
yes.
waiting in room.
Oh, is it? One sec. I don't see any message here.
WhatsApp I am.
Okay, one sec. I don't see any message. Okay, yes. Okay, thank you so much. Right, just let me know because I'm not able to see this. Okay, thank you. And now look, we are talking about a hub, right? Hub, only one collision domain and only one broadcast domain. How? Look at this. Hub may have some ports like this, right? So if one sends see any two guys, if they transmit at the same time, right? Any two guys, collision will happen, correct? So therefore, we are all in the same collision domain. Understood this? Yeah. We are talking about a hub. And now, what about broadcast domain? If anybody sends a broadcast, right, what will happen? It will just make a Xerox copy and give it to everybody. That means we are all again in the same broadcast domain also. Understood this, guys? Right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Now we are talking about bridge or switch. Now, what happens on a switch is every single port is a separate collision domain. Understood? So if there are 4 ports, right? Just an example. So there are 4 collision domains, right? So if there are, let us presume that a hub and a switch and a router, they all have 24 ports, right? Whatever number of ports. Just say, for example, 24 ports. So hub also has got 24 ports, switch also has got 24 ports, and a router also has got 24 ports, only for the sake of understanding. Okay. So now every single port on a switch is a separate collision domain. Got it? Now PC1 and PC2, they are in separate collision domain. Why? Because when they send data, there are separate ways of coming and going wires, right? Pin number 1 and 2 transmits, 3 and 6 receives, right? I'll tell you that also about the cables. So collision will never happen. So both can simultaneously send and receive data, right? And then collision doesn't happen. So therefore, there are 4 collision domains, right? Or 24 collision domains, correct? But now, tell me one thing. I connect a donkey hub here, right? Hub. And I put some end users here, right? Now this is a hub, huh? The above is a switch. Correct? Now tell me one thing. If any of these two guys send data, collision will happen, correct? Correct? But if this PC and if this PC, if they send at the same time, will collision happen? Never. Why? Because these are separate collision domains. Like KGA, KGB, KGC, KGD, right? Assume classrooms in the school. So separate classroom. So, but I also have a hub here, right? And again, collision domains. I mean, some end users here. This is again a donkey hub. So if two devices communicate at the same time, collision will happen. But this device and this device sending at the same time, right? Let us say this device and this device. Collision will happen? Never. Why? Because this is a separate collision domain and that is a separate collision domain. Again, if this guy sends a broadcast, what will happen? It will go to this guy, this guy, this guy, and it will also go here. And if this is in VLAN 1 and all the ports are in, let us say, VLAN 1 only, then what will happen? Right? So this switch will forward that broadcast to everybody, to this port also, because you are also in VLAN 1, to this port also, because you are also in VLAN 1, to this port also, because you are also in VLAN 1. And of course, I am also in VLAN 1, right? So what happens? Look, broadcast domain, there's only one broadcast domain, assuming all the ports belong to VLAN 1 only, right? Same big broadcast domain. So if one sends a broadcast, I am in VLAN 1 and all ports are in VLAN 1. So it will be passed on to everybody else. Is that okay? That broadcast will be passed on to everybody else also. Yeah. So there's only one broadcast domain on the switch, assuming it's just VLAN 1 right now. And what about collision domains? I said if there are 24 ports, there will be 24 collision domains, but only one broadcast domain. Is this clear, guys? Everybody? Yes. So if there are 24 ports, there are 24 collision domains, but only one broadcast domain. Tomorrow, if you create more VLANs, right? Let us say we have uh, we have 10 departments, right? We got 100 users, right? Marketing department, production department, engineering department, sales department, R&D department, finance, IT, whatever departments or projects. So what we can do is, instead of putting all of them in VLAN 1, let's say I got a switch with 100 ports and we got 100 users, right? Everybody, 100 ports, right? And everybody is in VLAN 1 only. If one sends a broadcast, what will happen? It will go to all the 99, correct? Others, everybody. But tomorrow, what we are going to do is, let's say we got 100 employees and we got 10 departments. So we are going to create 10 VLANs. VLAN number 1, VLAN number 2, VLAN number 3, VLAN number 10, or VLAN number 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Whatever VLAN number you give. We are going to put 10 members in every VLAN, right? In VLAN 10, 10 members. Let's say VLAN 20, again 20 members, right? Something like this. What will happen now? If one gives and we are going to assign these ports to VLAN, right? So I'll put this port in VLAN 10, this one in VLAN 10, like this 10 ports in VLAN 10, other 10 ports in VLAN 20, right? Something like this. That I will tell you how to do it, right? Configure it later on. Now what will happen? If one sends a broadcast, it will only go to 9 guys. Got it? So what will happen? Entire bandwidth will not be consumed, right? So the whatever bandwidth is conserved, that will be utilized by the end users. Hence, the performance of the network will go up and we get more security. So by creating more VLANs, we are doing segmentation. We have a one big broadcast domain when everybody is in VLAN 1 only. But now we take that big broadcast domain and break it into 10 smaller broadcast domains. Is that okay? Understanding?
हाँ सर, थोड़ा सा एक कंफ्यूजन है.
Okay.
ये तो अगर सारे सारे डोमेन में 10 है, that was okay.
Hmm.
If one is 50 and other are 10s and I want to combine all 50
No,
members
no,
in
no,
one
that's okay.
VLAN.
That's okay. Don't worry. In one group, you may have 5 members. Another group may you have 25. Another VLAN you may have 50 people. Another VLAN you may have 100 people. That's okay. Don't worry about that. But you get the point. In this VLAN, if one sends, it will go to only 4 guys. In this VLAN, if one sends, it will go to only 24 people. Are you getting the point? Yeah. Let's say this is VLAN number 10. Yeah. This is VLAN number 10. We got 5 people in that. We have VLAN number 20. Don't worry about that, right? And we got 25 people in that. We got one more department wherein we have 50 people. We put them in VLAN 30. One more department, we have 100 people. We can put them in VLAN number 40, right? So production department, marketing department, finance department, IT department, whatever you call it. So don't worry about it. But you get the funda? Right? Otherwise, if you keep all these guys, 5 plus 25 plus 50 people plus 100 people in one VLAN, what will happen? If one sends a broadcast, it will go to all these remaining guys, just minus one. So how much are they? 150, 175, 180. So it will go to how many people? 179. Got it? So entire bandwidth will be consumed if you keep all of them in just one VLAN. Is the funda principle understood, guys? Understanding the point? Getting my
Yes,
point?
sir.
Okay, good. So don't worry about that. Okay. So now, uh, and what happens on a router? So now look, tomorrow if we have 10 VLANs and broadcast domain will be how much? 10 on a switch. But by default, how much is it? Just one. Got it? Just one, right? Because by default, there's only one VLAN, right? On the switch. All the ports belong to VLAN 1 only, correct? And now let's come to router. What's going to happen on a router, right? If you got 24 ports, so what did the switch do? It broke that big one broadcast domain. Sorry, it took the collision domain and segmented into multiple collision domains, right? So the performance of the network goes up, right? And what does the router do? In the router, again, you got 24 ports. So 24 collision domains. And now, by default, only you got 24 broadcast domains also. So the router not only, right, created multiple collision domains, it also created multiple broadcast domains by default. Now, look, I'll just give an example, right? How, what exactly it means on a router. So I don't know whether I showed you this on day one or not, but okay, so I'll add a page. So now this is page number 3. And look at this. This is router. I got a gigabit port here, but I am connecting a donkey here. This is a hub, right? And I got multiple end users here. This is gigabit 001 port, gigabit 000 001. I again have a donkey hub connected here and multiple users here. I again have gigabit 001 port, and instead of taking a switch, I am taking a old donkey hub, right? And again connecting. Now look, I told you routers never forward broadcasts, right? So if one guy sends a broadcast, what will happen? This donkey hub is going to receive on this port and forward it from every other port, correct? So it will from this port, it will come to router also, but the router will never forward it. So this is one broadcast domain, correct? What about this? This is another broadcast domain. Why? Because if one sends a broadcast, it will go to everybody else, right? It will come till this port also. But a router will never forward broadcasts, right? Never forward it. So this is another broadcast domain. And what about this? This is, let's say, another broadcast domain. So broadcast domain number 3. Because if one guy sends a broadcast, it will go to everybody else and router will never forward it. So there are 3 different broadcast domains. And now let us say collision domains. If this PC and this PC simultaneously send, what will happen? A collision will happen, right? Here also, if one PC and another PC simultaneously send, collision will happen. Here also, what will happen? If one of them and both of them, right, send at the same time, what will happen? A collision will happen. But is it possible that this PC sends and this PC also simultaneously sends? Collision can happen? It can never happen because this is like a KG class A in the school, KG class B and KG class C, right? So there are a couple of guys here, right? Couple of guys here in this classroom and couple of guys here, right? They can fight, break each other's head and nose, right? But if this guy gives a box, right, the box will never hit anybody here or here, right? Why? Because they are separate collision domains as well as separate broadcast domains, right? I hope, guys, the concept of collision domain and broadcast domains is clear to everybody. Yes. And also the
Yes, sir.
differences. Yeah. Good. And also the differences between the hub and the bridge and the switch. Correct? Yeah. Sorry, your voice was a bit, couldn't hear properly. Anybody said anything to me?
नहीं आप करे हो गैस पर से लगाया था ना
Rollover cable. Please mute yourself if you're not talking to us. Anybody? Straight through cable, right? Through THROUGH, but through, right? For short, and a crossover cable, right? Now, who can tell me about rollover, crossover, and straight through cables, right? Crossover cable. Yeah. So look, if you want to configure your router, right? We have a console port, correct? From there, you can take a laptop, and I told you, you can take a software like you'll have Putty, Super Putty, or Hyper Terminal, right? Something like this, right? And through this, now you can start configuring your router or switch, whatever it is, right? If it's a switch, right, you got ports here like this, but behind the switch, right, there's a console port, right? So you can connect here or there, whatever, whichever device you want to configure, right? And now, so this console port, if you want to configure a device, which cable do we use? We use a sky blue colored cable, right? I have here real Cisco routers and switches. So the cable will be a sky blue cable. This is known as rollover cable. Understood? Rollover. So if you want to configure your device, you will take a rollover cable. Okay. Now, where do you use straight through and where do you use crossover? So if you are configuring, if you are connecting similar kind of devices, right? Switch to switch, right? Then we use which cable? Crossover cable. Is this understood? If you are connecting router to a router, we take a crossover cable. Is this understood? At home, you and your girlfriend, right? You connect your laptops. Which cable are you going to take? Crossover. Similar kind of devices means crossover. Yes. But what if you want to connect a router to a switch? Then you will take straight
Straight.
through cable. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
If you connect a PC to a switch, then which cable are we going to take? Are they similar kind of devices or
Straight.
different kind of devices? They are different. So straight through cable. Yes, guys. Understood this much? My way of remembering is,
Yes.
see, I am a boy, right? I'm in a man, and I love girls, assuming I'm a college boy, right? So I love girls, right? Obviously, if you tell me go with either the boy or girl, I'll prefer to go with a sweet girl, right? Boy means he's my friend only, man. I will meet him in the evening, don't worry, right? But first priority is this sweet girl, right? So look, boy and boy, there we can fight, right? Girls and girls can be, I'm just joking here, right? Can be jealous of each other, right? Your sandals are better than mine, right? I won't tell on the face, but I think your lipstick is better than mine, right? Your height is better than mine, your hair's, I mean, we can go cross, right? I'm just to understand myself, right? I just made this story, right? But boys and girls, right? Come on, darling, let's have a cup of coffee. Straight, koi jagda nahi hai, right? No fight, no arguments, right? I'm just trying to make myself understand, right? But I hope the point is clear. Similar kind of devices, router, we are going to use a crossover cable. Switch to switch, crossover cable, correct? But if you directly connect a PC to a Ethernet port, which actually will never happen because you have so many end users, right? You first connect a switch, and then maybe if the users are more, you will connect one more 24 or 48 port switch to that switch, maybe one more third switch to the second switch, and then maybe fourth switch to the third switch, everybody having 48 ports, and then you will be accommodating so many end users on every port, right? I don't think one PC will ever be connected to a directly gigabit Ethernet port. It's like I'm in a cinema hall where you have 300 seats and I bought the whole show, right? I paid 200 rupees per seat and I bought all the 300 seats. And that means I'm alone going to watch the movie in a hall. Well, I am not Shah Rukh Khan, man. Right. Anyway, so I don't think this is the only exception, right? Wherein if you connect directly a PC to a router, now they are not similar kind of devices, they are different. So for different kind of devices, we use what? Straight through. But here we are going to use the one which we are not supposed to use, crossover. Got it? The only exception here. That's it. If you leave this exception, right? Rest is clear. Similar kind of devices, crossover. Right? And now look at this. Let me go and pull out my packet tracer. And look at this now. What am I going to do? I just pulled out a router and so we are the network admins, right? So what I'm going to do is look at the cable. Now I'm going to click at the cable down below on the left, right? Can you see the first one, the orange one? What does it say? It says automatically choose connection types. Look at this sky blue. What does it say? That's the console cable, right? And what about this one? Look at this straight line, copper straight line. That's a straight through cable, right? And what about this one? Look at this. This is crossover cable. Got it? So this is the management guy, right? He is the management guy. And we have more devices here. So I'm going to pick a right switch here and again multiple users, right? So when you click this, first click control so that you don't have to go back every time again and again and again, right? To get more PCs. And then you can click here on the top rectangle box here, select, or you can just press escape from your keyboard, right? In case you again want the cursor back. Now I'm going to take a cable. Look, now I'm going to take a console pip cable, right? The sky blue one. And I had real routers here, right? So I don't know which one to use. I think RS 232. And here I'm going to connect on console port. See that? This is the management guy, right? But for all other employees in the company, right? I'm going to press control now and click on the cable. So now if you take auto cable, it will automatically take, right? Connect the smallest port, right? See, smallest port. First port of the switch has gone to router. Second port of the switch has gone to the PC. Third port to this PC. Fourth port F0 oblique 4 to this PC. F0 oblique 5 to this PC. Got it? And now escape. And I think I will just take them a bit here and there so that we are able to see the ports exactly, right? So now is it clear? This one is on F0 oblique 4. Now look at the router, right? The above one, we know it's a console port, right? And this one is what? Router's gigabit 0 oblique 0 oblique 0 port, right? Here, which is connected to the switch. And the switch, a fast Ethernet 0 oblique 1 port is connected to the router. Clear? Right? And I told you about options, right? And the font and the settings, right? CLI. Right? Remember that? Anybody who came late, we went to options here and you go to preferences and here just click this one, always show port labels, right? So then we come to know about the ports, right? Gigabit 0 connected to F0/1. If you remove this, the ports disappear on the topology, right? So therefore, I want to know that. So I will click this. And secondly, the font, right? So I am not comfortable with a smaller font. So this was already 8 so CLI. So I made it 16 here, right? So I get a bigger font. Just say apply and close it. So that was for those who missed out. And now in the real life, from here, we actually configure our, right, router. But because we click here directly, so it's the same as, right, configuring from that PC only. Got it? Now look, this was a cable. So this one is what? The console port, right? This is the rollover cable. Which one? Rollover cable, right? From the, this is gone to the console port, correct? And this is connected to the console port on the router or switch, right? And now we know about the other cables, right? Switch to PC to switch and all this, they are what? Straight through cable, correct? And if you connect a router to a router, right? Router to a router or a switch to a switch, then it will be crossover cable, correct? So now cabling is done, guys. Okay, rollover, straight through and crossover. And how do you,
Excuse me, sir.
yeah. Tell me.
ये जो HDMI पोर्ट है इसी को कंसोल पोर्ट बोलते हैं क्या
No, on
या
the
डिफरेंट
router,
होता है
no. HDMI port, no, on the older
पीसी की बात
desktop.
कर रहा
Now
हूँ
look, you're talking about a PC, right? Isn't it?
राइट सर
In the old desktops, you had a port like this. 1, 2, 3, 4,
सीरियल
5.
पोर्ट
Correct. This is known as the serial port on a PC. Huh? This was the older one,
ओके
correct? But nowadays we don't get this on our laptops. So we can use what? USB on the PC, right? As well as USB on the router or switch. Got it?
गॉट इट
Router, you got console port, two choice. This is also console. This is also console, right? But this is RJ45, right? And this is USB. On the newer routers, you have USB here. And on your PC or laptop, you always have a USB port, right? So you can connect from USB to USB, or you can connect from USB to RJ45, right? You'll have a converter here. So you'll have a RJ45 port here and a USB port here, right? So you'll connect USB to USB and RJ45 to RJ45 like that. But these are all practical things. Got it? Understood? So we are done with
यस सर
cables.
एक
Yeah?
और क्वेश्चन था
हाँ, पूछिए, please.
ये
Please
जो
ask.
केबल यूज हो रही है
Hmm.
केबल यूज हो रही है कैट 6 यही है या कोई डिफरेंट केबल यूज होता है इसमें
So we have so many cables, right? Cat 5, isn't it? Cat 6, Cat
राइट
6A, right? Cat 7, I don't know what cables, what many cables, right? But they can be anything, right? You can use any cable, copper cable, any cable,
ओके
right? You can use any cable. And nowadays we have fiber optic cables also, correct?
करेक्ट
And we can communicate through wireless also. So no cables required, right? Fiber optic cables also. In this, we have got what? Single mode and multi-mode cables, correct?
करेक्ट सर
Single mode goes for how many kilometers? Maybe 70 kilometers from one city to another city, right? Multi-mode goes for how much? It is meant for home only. 500 meter, 550 meters, right? Maybe you have got a big bungalow or, right, whatever. So 550 meters and 70 kilometers, right? This is costly in terms of money, and this is cheaper, right? Correct? Single mode means what? We know what fiber optic cables are, right? So
उल्टा हो
fiber
गया
optic
सर
cables, right? A
सिंगल मोड इज चीपर देन मल्टी
single mode is costlier. Multi mode is cheaper. Here in multi mode, what happens? Here only one signal will be sent, right? In single mode, only one single signal will be sent, right?
Right.
So it will go faster, right? Where is it? Only one signal will go, right? But in multi-mode, what happens? Different devices communication can go simultaneously, right? And they will keep on bouncing in the tunnel and go like this. Now I am drawing here multiple colors here, right? Just to show you, right? So different signals, fiber optic, man, where are you? So different signals simultaneously will go, but it will be slower than, right, the single mode. Getting the point? Different frequencies, right? So
Yes.
normally from one city to another city we use the ISPs use, right, single mode. But at home we are going to use multi-mode. Why? Because dollar wise also it is cheaper, and we don't require a length more than 500 meters or 550 meters, something like this, correct? And the third type of communication can be through wireless, which we'll talk later on. Is that okay? So what have we covered today? We have covered collision domains, broadcast domains, right? And copper, and differences between, I mean, the cables, and the differences between the hub and the bridge and the switch. Correct? Now, we can talk of many more things, but before we go there, let me show you a few more commands, right, that we can give on the router. And I told you what to do on a router. Right, look, I am turning off this router, right, for a moment. Turned off, correct? And now I'm going to turn it on. And now quickly go on the CLI. Look what's happening. Okay, let me just close this. Let me take a fresh router for you, right? So that there is no confusion. Now I'm clicking here. I'm picking up a router here. And let's go and click this, right? So it's booting up, right? Right from the beginning. Fresh. Correct? It's booting up. Now, initializing hardware, dot, dot, dot. Ignore. Not everything is very important, at all important for us. Checking for PCIe, blah, 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 blah. System integrity status, blah, 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 blah. Right? ROM image. Okay. So it is booted up, and finally it is here. Right? Right? After booting up, it has come here. Correct? But now, what we are going to do is have a look at from the beginning, right? From the top. Initializing hardware, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Checking for PCIe, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. System integrity, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. ROM image verified correctly, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. System bootstrap, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. Copyright, blah, blah. I don't care. I don't care about anything, right? Current image, I don't care. Last reset, I don't care. Okay, I know one thing. What? This is a Cisco's ISR 4331 router. ISR stands for Integrated Services Router. That means it can forward voice, data, video, everything, right? And this is the model number. We don't have to remember it, right? 431, blah, blah. And K9 is, this has a operating system which will, which is security enabled, right? So it will, that means you can configure, right, cryptography and VPNs from this router also. So it will support that OS, right? Okay. And this is the memory, right? Main memory. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So many kilobytes. Okay, no valid boot image found. Okay, I don't care. Final auto boot, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Located ISR. Look, I told you yesterday that I gave you a brief idea about what are the components of a router. So we saw RAM, ROM, flash, NVRAM, CPU, motherboard, interfaces or ports, correct? So now we also saw that yesterday that where is the, when you buy a Cisco router, the operating system comes right along with the router only. But where is it stored? Where is the operating system stored in the router? What did we discuss yesterday? Yeah, who can tell me?
NVRAM.
The operating system is stored in the NVRAM. Yes, correct. True or false?
True.
The operating system of the router, when you buy it, when you bring it from the factory, it's stored in the NVRAM. True or false? Sorry, I'm also gulping a bit of water. Yes, I want everybody to respond. Arey, so much jao, yeah, don't sleep. Right? So be with me. I hope everybody is hearing. Right? Is it true or false?
Yes, sir.
Correct?
True.
Okay. So what were the components of a router or switch? We saw yesterday. RAM, temporary memory, right? Show run. Correct? All the tables are stored here. Show run means will show you all the commands, right? RAM. Commands, tables are stored here. What does ROM do? Read-only memory, right? It helps the router, it guides the router what to do next, 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 when the router is booting up, right? In during the booting up process, it guides the router, tells what to do next, what to do next, what to do next, right? Something like this. So, and what does the flash contain? This contains the iOS. Remember yesterday? And not the NVRAM. So when you buy a router, where is the iOS stored? It's stored inside the flash. And this is the permanent memory. Remember? Permanent memory. Show startup config. That's the command, right? And here what's the command? Show run. Correct? And then you got CPU and you got motherboard and you got, it will keep on doing your job, right? Its job. And we got interfaces or ports, right? Interfaces, also known as ports. So look, iOS is stored in the flash, not in the NVRAM. When you give a command, copy, run, start, then all your commands from RAM will be stored inside the NVRAM. Now, if you turn off the router, power off, and if you turn it again, maybe tomorrow, you will get all the commands. If you don't copy it in the NVRAM, all your commands will go away. Is this clear, guys? So now it was loading the iOS from the flash into the RAM. Understood this? What it was doing here? Okay. Ignore all these things. We are not concerned with it. And what more? Uh, all these things I don't care, right? Ignore them. I don't care about all these things, right? This is a Cisco Systems Incorporation, right? San Jose, California product. Okay. What more? Look, iOS version, right? Is what? 16 point blah blah blah. Got it? So when I started doing this CCNA, I did it from Hong Kong and Sydney and Melbourne for 1 year. I was out in the year 2001, 2002, long time back, right? So I paid them lakhs of rupees to do the course, only Monday to Friday, one course finished. Another course, 1 lakh, one more lakh, Monday to Friday, whether you understand or not, right? That's it. So this, the iOS version was 10.3. Then after 2, 3 years, it became 11.2. Then after a couple of time, right? So 11.2, then 12.0, then 12.1, then 12.2, 12.3, 12.4, right? Then 15.0 and many more versions of 15 and 16 also. So today, after so many years, right? Almost 25 years, it is working on 16 versions, 16.6.6, whatever, 6.4. Right. Okay. So that's the iOS version. And technical support and all those things, I don't care. Right. And Cisco IS XE, okay, okay, blah, blah, lot many things here. So I don't care about absolutely all these things. Okay. This product contains cryptography, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. Right. And governed by the US laws. Okay. I don't care. Sitting in India. And anyway, I'm not doing anything which will, right, go against any law. Okay. So this is the DRAM memory, right? This is the RAM and DRAM memory, right? Dynamic RAM. So dynamic RAM means the memory on the port where it will store packets for milliseconds before forwarding it to other port, right? So this is the DRAM, dynamic RAM, and this is the RAM. So many kilobytes. This is your RAM memory total, right? And you got 3 Ethernet ports here, and NVRAM memory is given here. So many kilobytes, right? And flash memory is given as something like this. Okay, now dash 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 system configuration dialog dash dash dash. If you see this, that means the router is on default settings, or somebody has said erase startup and reload. So now it is again booted up and has come back on the factory default settings. Is this understood? Normally what we do is in the enterprise, we say here no, and go ahead. So it was asking us whether you would like to get into setup mode. So I said no, right? Setup mode is no, right? And we straight then it said press enter to get started. And I kept on pressing enter n number of times, right? So now we know this is the user mode, correct? And once again, enable, right? That's the first command. If you don't know what command to give, then what do we do? Press a question mark. It would display a list of all the commands from A to Z, right? We know Cisco has told us that from here to go to the next mode, give enable command, right? Ping, telnet, traceroute, all these commands can also be given from here. Ping, telnet, traceroute, all these commands can be given from here as well as the next mode, right? So limited show commands, but more from the next mode, privilege mode. So now we are going to give a command here, enable. Look, I told you, if I type E, it says, I don't know, E is ambiguous because from the user mode, there are more than one commands, right, which begin with E. So I don't know which one you're talking about, right? So look, EN, right? And then tab. So it knows what to do further. And even if I don't press tab, EN is okay, enter. So now we're at the second mode, right? Now we know what, right? Again, if we don't know which command to give, but Cisco has told us there are many commands and we are not going to understand all commands. We are not even going to use all of the commands. Forget in CCNA, even in CCNP and CCI, right? Not everybody in the world knows all the commands on a router. If somebody says, I know it, he's fooling us, right? He's just bluffing. Okay. And I told you about more. Enter, one line. Tab, break. I don't want to see any other output, right? And space means all further commands it will keep on showing, right? Up arrow or control P again, right? Up arrow, right? Okay. So I have to give here a command configure. So I can just type conf t. Is that okay? For configure terminal short. Now we are at the global mode, right? And now if I say exit, I go back on the privilege mode. From here, I can say show running config or just run. So look, this is the default configuration of this brand new router. I mean, it's on factory default, right? We have seen this. And see, once again to revise it, configure terminal. Again, if I give a command here, show run, it won't show me because first I have to type do and then show and then run. Then it will show me. Understood this do? So if you are not at the privilege mode, from any other mode like global mode or config mode, whatever, and interface mode or any other line mode, you have to give do show some command like this, right? Only then it will work. Okay, quickly, how can we? First is let's revise. I want to give host name of R1 to this, right? Is this okay? We all know this. Yes, guys, can you give me a feedback? Everybody clear on this point? Are you working on the software at home? Right? Or you can
Yes, sir.
share your screen and I can ask one of you, right, to show me how commands you're giving, right? So whichever way, but if you're not comfortable, then tell me. You share your screen and I will guide you from here. Is that okay? Right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I'm giving you a demo here. If you feel uncomfortable, share your screen and tell me, okay, DJ, what do I do now? Then I will tell you, right? So we can guide you, everybody. So now host name we have given. Now what? Tell me what more to. Okay, I want to give interface. Okay, I want to have a look at what all interfaces it has got. So do show IP. I love this command, right? Interface brief because it gives me a summary here. So look, I got gigab three ports, three physical ports and one VLAN one, right? This is logical port, virtual LAN. Ignore this for now. All of them have come disabled from the factory. None of them have IP addresses, right? So we know what to do. At least let's try and configure interface G tab 0/0/0. Correct? So if I type 0/0, what happens? It says, man, invalid interface type and number because the whole command is either 000 or 0/0/1 or 0/0/2, right? So you have to give the whole thing. I just cannot give half, right? Or incomplete. So what do I do again? Up arrow and /0. Just some number to write given to interfaces. Understood? And now what do I do? I am at the interface mode. See? From the global mode or config mode, now we're at the interface mode. So I can give an IP address, let's say 10.1.1.1 and some subnet mask. I'm just taking an example here of 222.550. And of course, don't forget to say no shutdown or no shut, right? But because there's nothing connected there, right? The port will not become up and up, right? It will just become up and down. Do show IP interface brief. Oh man, I got to first click inside. Do show IP interface brief. Look, it is still up and down. But as long as it doesn't become up and up, you just cannot communicate, right? So let me just, for the sake of connecting some device, I'll just take a switch and cable it. Okay, now regarding the cable, I'm going to remove all these cables, right? Click here on the delete. See, can you see this on the top left? Here, there's a cross sign here. So if you want to delete the cables, you can delete it, right? If you want to delete a device, you can delete device also, right? Nothing to worry. And I'm going to delete the cables. Just to show you that, again, I'm clicking on the box or escape. And now I want to take a straight through cable, right? Which cable do I require from router to switch? Router to router similar cross. So this is going to be straight. So look, I will pick up a straight through cable now. See this? Instead of the auto cable. And now I have the choice to select which port. See? Actually, in the there's a software bug. It should have shown 002 also, but there's software bug, right? So only two ports are usable here. Let's say there were only two ports. So I have a choice now. But auto cable selects automatically the lowest cable, right? But if I want, I can select now the gigabit 1 port from there. And now here, if I want to connect, where do I want to connect? I want to connect on gigabit 1 port and not fast Ethernet 0/1. Got it? So when I take the straight through cable, I have the choice of connecting which device, right? Where. So I want to connect this one on maybe fast Ethernet 1 port, right? Or any port that you want, maybe 8 port, right? Is this okay? Understanding? And so I can select the port now that I want to use, right? And here I want to connect it on 20th port, right? Something like this. So this is how you can select either the, right? Now router to router will be a crossover. So which is a crossover? This one, right? So we can connect, select the port now. Okay, this is the only one left right here. And there I have the choice to connect to whichever port I want. Got it? But if I take auto, it will select connect here on gigabit 0 only, 000, smallest port. Okay. And I told you what, after you have configured this, right? After you have configured this, you should go and save the commands. How do you save the commands? Okay. So you can say copy run start, right? Or just say WR, right? Then also it will be saved. Okay, let's start configuring this router now. So I said no here. Man, what happened? I was on the other router, I think, right? So enable here, configure terminal here, host name R1 here. That was the remote one, right? So I don't want that. And interface gigabit 000 and no shut and IP address. Let's say 10.1.1.1. Done. This is done for this router, right? Assuming we have this router and this topology only, and that one is not there, right? So we're not using this one, right? Let's remove this. Okay, something like this. Again, escape or press on this rectangle box here, escape. Okay, and then what? What more commands do we want? This is done. Now tell me. Okay, from here only, or you can say exit and go to global mode and type line console 0. Remember that console, and we gave a password as something CC. Oh man, I want to change the password, right? So I'll do CCNA override, right? So now the password is CCNA, and I will say login. Likewise, line, remember AUX 0 and password CCNA, right? CCNA, and again login. And again, line VTY space 0 space 4, right? And password, again, in real life, we will be give different and, right, complex ones, but this is an example. Again, login. Got it? So now look, I have given this do, show, run. So we have router 1, right? R1. We have gigabit 0 IP address. and we have console port and auxiliary port and this set, right? Do show start. So do we have anything there? No, we don't have. So you can just say do WR. It will now save it right from RAM to NVRAM. Or you could have said do copy run start. So that WR also works on the router, right? In the exam also. Here we'll say directly WR, copy run start, or copy from running config to startup config. So I'll just write copy from my RAM into NVRAM. Is this clear, guys, everybody? Now, if you say do show start, right? Sorry. No, sorry. We don't have to say do here, right? Control A, Control DD, right? Show start, we have the same things here, right? Now, if we turn off the router, we'll still get all the commands. Is this understood, guys, so far? Yes? What more commands can we practice today? So we can say we have given this. Now remember banners. So we'll say configure terminal, we come down to global mode and we'll say banner. We got 3 banners, 2 here, but in real life, banner exec also, EXEC. So, but we'll just do 2 here. And banner, how do you create message of the day? Again, some symbol and maybe some command, right? Some text that you want to give, right? Maybe like restricted access, right? Or right, maybe this, and you finish with the same thing. Again, if you want to configure one more banner, right? Banner, which one? Login, right? So we'll say again, we'll take some symbol and give whatever message you want to type, right? So I'll just keep here, right? Login, something like this. In real life, what the exam says, you'll do that, or the company says, right? How do you see them? Do show run is one way. So we have configured some banners here. See this, right? Banner login and banner MOTD and tab and Control Z or exit or end and again exit. So if you say disable, it will go to the user mode. Again, if you say exit, it will come here only, right? Out of, again, entry from the beginning, right? So now it says R1 console 0 is now available. Press return. So we press enter, right? So look at this restricted access. See that? This was your, I think, banner MOTD, and this is your login. And if you configure one more banner, right? Banner exact EXEC. So that after you have given, so we have a password here, man. We have given the console password, right? CCNA. After you have given the console password, what happened? CCNA? Is it not the password? Yeah. After that, it will show banner exec somewhere here, right? After this password, whatever you typed, right? So 3 banners. So if you know one banner, you can connect, you can configure the other banner also. Okay, guys, give me a quick feedback. Everybody can do the banner also, configure banner also. Yes or no? Yes or no? Hello, hello. Am I audible? कोई है यहाँ पे? Anybody here?
Can you tell me one time again, sir?
Sorry, come again.
Can you tell me again one time?
What do you want to know? Banner?
Yeah.
Go to the global mode. Which banner do you want to configure? Configure terminal, right? Banner. Just type your banner and give a question mark. Which banner? MOTD or login, right? So if you want to configure MOTD banner, type here MOTD. Or if you want to configure login, type here LOGIN. And then after that, select some symbol that you like on the keyboard, but that symbol should not come inside the message. And then whatever message you want to type, right? Like unauthorized users, right? Shall be prosecuted, right? Whatever message you want to type, right? But just finish it with the same symbol. And this symbol should not come anywhere in the message. Got it? So this is how you create banner. Control Z, exit, and look, unauthorized user shall be prosecuted. So you overwritten the MOTD message banner created. Correct? Or you change the Now look, this is the console password, console port. Assuming now you're connecting your laptop's cable to the console port on the router. So it's first asking you to give the console password, which is what CCNA here. Now we are at the user mode. Here if we type enable, so we straight away come to the privilege mode, and there should be one more layer of security here. In between, after typing enable, before going to the privilege mode, it should again ask you for a password. How do you configure that? I showed you yesterday. Enable password, which is a bad one, the old one, right? So this is a donkey one, right? Why? Because in do show run, it stores in the clear text. Anybody can read it, right? It doesn't encrypt it. Okay, I have typed here enable password, but I want a better one, right? So now what happens? If you say exit, you come on the privilege mode. Now if you type disable, you go back on the user mode, again come ahead, enable. Now it will ask you for a donkey password. Got it? Enable password, whichever you configured. Is it small? Yes, I'm going to type here DONKEY. Donkey I typed. Got it? Show, run. Look, it was this password. After user mode, before the privilege mode, it will ask you this. But we have a better one. The enable secret, right? So we'll type here enable. If you want to remove that donkey, just go and type here no enable password. Don't type donkey. That will be gone, right? But the better one is enable secret. Now I'll keep this as CCNA only, right? You can keep it anything, right? But now what happens is both cannot be same. One thing, both of them cannot be donkey donkey or CCNA CCNA. They have to be different. And what's the difference? When it stores, the enable password is stored in clear text, but the enable secret, it encrypts or hashes it and stores it, right? So this is better. And this 5 is for that MD5. That's the name of the algorithm, Message Digest 5, which has encrypted, right? Or hashed this password. So if you want to remove them, just go on the global mode again and say no enable secret. That will be gone. Don't type anything after that, CCNA or whatever. No enable password. That's it. It's gone. Okay. All okay till this point? Right. Now look, do show run. Can you read this password donkey in clear text? Yes, you can. Space bar, space bar, space bar. Can you read this in clear text console port? Yes. Can you read the auxiliary password? Yes. Can you read the tenant password? Yes. Why can you read this? Because look at this. Do show run. Building configuration dot dot dot. Ignore this. Ignore this. Look at this. No service password encryption because password encryption was disabled from the factory. Just go on the global mode and type service password encryption or Control C, Control V. Got it? Copy and paste it. So just go on the global mode and type service ACR P tab password encryption. Now look, do show run. But before encrypting this, except for the enable secret, right? This was already encrypted. Even though encryption was disabled, enable secret was already encrypted. Now look at the others. MD7, which is not better than MD5. It is inferior to MD5. It has encrypted your CCNA. Got it? And look at the remaining passwords. Space bar, space bar, space bar. Now console password is also encrypted. And this is also not in clear text, right? So all these are hashed or encrypted. Got it? Understood this command? Which one? Service password encryption. It was disabled earlier. Now you enabled it. So we are tightening our security. And what are these two commands? We may not use them. Service timestamps log datetime msec. So there are syslog servers. We may not use it in this course, right? So whenever a syslog message is generated by the router, what's a syslog message? The system generates a log message, right? Whenever there is some event, right? Like in the threshold, look at this. It begins with a percentage. Got it? Syslog messages are generated, right? 5 number, right? Whatever. So it's nothing, right? Actually, I just exited from my privilege global mode to privilege mode, right? So it says Okay. So I'm configuring it from my console. Okay. It makes no sense to me. I mean this message. But that percentage thing, right? We'll talk of syslog maybe later on, right? But any syslog message is generated. So it is thrown here, right? It's shown me on the it's showing me on the console, right? But whenever a syslog message is generated, it throws the output on the console for me to have a look, right? Which actually doesn't make a sense to me. I mean that message, right? But there can be other important messages, right? Like port security happening or some violation or some thresholds exceeding, right? Then also it will throw a syslog message. But when it throws the syslog message, it is not showing me the what date, when does it throw? 11th, right? 13th of November 2014 at right, right, almost 9:24 p.m. It is not showing me the date and time. If you go on the global mode and just copy paste this, right? That means enable this date time, surveys, timestamps, log, date time, I'm saying. Then whenever it throws a syslog message, it will show you the time and date also. That's it. Understood, guys? We may not be using it. And there are a lot of debug commands that we can give to troubleshoot. If things are not working, there are a lot of debug commands that can be given. Of course, in our course, we are not going to use anything, right? Not much. But whenever you give a debug command, it will start throwing a lot of lines very quickly, right? Show you bum, 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 dum, 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 right? So many outputs, so many lines in a very less time, right? So we won't be able to keep a track or read all the lines. But whenever it throws out the debug output, again, it will not show you the date and time. But if you go on the global mode and copy paste this, or say, give this command service, timestamps, debug, date time, millisecond. Then, whenever you give a debug command and whenever it throws the output, right? Then the time and date and the year and month, everything will also be displayed. Understood these three commands, guys? Yeah. We are not going to use everything, right? Don't worry. So understood this one was that what we use, right? Other two also you understood. Host name we know. Enable secret now we know. Enable password also we know, right? This is useless. If enable secret is not there, then we can give password. In the olden days, there was not enable secret, only one was there. But now we have both. So you can give only one, you can ignore, you may not even give the second one, right? Don't worry. But this is from when you go from the user mode to the privilege mode. And all these commands, we don't require it now. This also ignore. This we know, right? This we know, right? We enabled it and given IP address, and duplex and auto speed are auto duplex and speed are in auto settings. I'll explain that later on. And this port, we are not using it. Even this one, we are not using it. And VLAN 1 also, we are not using it right now. And ignore these commands, not much relevance now. And banners we created, and line console and auxiliary and telnet, right? We created. I hope you guys can do all these things on your own now, right? I've shown you once, twice, thrice, I think couple of times, right? So by now, is everybody familiar with this? Can you give me a feedback? Everybody? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Good. Itna to ab kar lo, right? This much you should be able to do it now at least on your own, right? And if you need my help, I'm always there. Don't worry, isn't it? In the class, out of the class, you can always bank on me. If any problems, any doubts, you talk to me. If you don't tell me, then I won't be able to help you, right? I don't understand what you guys understand and what you're not following. मुझे समझ में तो आना चाहिए कि तुमको क्या समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, right? That means I should be able to understand what you're not able to understand. Only then I can help. I am just presuming whatever I keep on talking, it is being understood, absorbed, and learned by you guys. So you guys can do it now. Correct? And I think the time is not much left today, but we have covered a lot of things today, isn't it? Yes or no? How was the day? All good? Cool?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we
Yes,
can
sir.
give one more command here. Like, say, for example, if I type here something by mistake, see what happened. I just typed something like this, right? Like EEGF, something like this, blindly. So now it is giving a DNS broadcast. Got it? The router is giving a DNS broadcast. It is asking the DNS server, hello, you know what a broadcast is, right? This will go to everybody in this LAN, all devices. And it's specifically asking the DNS, hello. It perhaps thinks this router is thinking that I told this router to telnet into this other device. EEGF. That's the host name of some other device, maybe a router or a computer or a firewall or a PC or a server, whatever, right? Or a switch. So, but there is no device in our network whose host name is EEGF. And by the way, there is no DNS server also, right? So this is giving up the DNS broadcast. Got it? It's trying to ask, hello, DNS, do you know this guy is? If you know this EGF, give me its IP address so that I can telnet it to that device. That is the meaning of this, right? So, but look, we are wasting how much time? Almost 20 seconds gone. So in case I commit a mistake, right, every time. So if I want to disable DNS, I will go and say no IP domain dash lookup. Give this command. So one more command now you came to know, right? If you're new to this, correct? Now, if you just type anything like this, so we'll save that 20 seconds. Got it? We told him don't ask the DNS server, right? Don't keep on giving that broadcast for 20 seconds and right then we are perhaps held up for 20 seconds. So it immediately said, boss, either this command is good, no, is not correct, or there is no device in this network with the name of this EGRF, or I am unable to reach that device, or the DNS doesn't have the entry, something like this. Got it? So no IP domain lookup. This is one thing. So banners we have done, enable secret we have done, right? And for today, I think I don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of time. Tomorrow again, we'll continue, right? With then now we'll begin with IP addressing and subnetting. Very important for tomorrow. Is that okay, guys? Right? But before we go, we leave. Can I take a couple of minutes or 2-4 minutes? मिल जाएगा मुझे? Can you spare me 3-4-5 minutes? Everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So for tomorrow, we'll take up IP addressing, right? And before we say goodbye to each other, I want you all to note this much, that there's a class A address. For those who are new to it or maybe forgotten, class A address is what? 1 to 126. Correct? Class A address is what? 1 to 126 range. Class B is what? 128 to 191. Memorize this, right? 192 to 223. And we also have class D and class E. So class D is what? 224 to 239. And class E is 240 to 255. We never use class D and E in our networks. Class D is used for what? Multicasting, right? And class E is used for research and development. And in class A and B and C, we have some private address range, right? Which is free of cost. We use in the LAN. What is that? Entire 10, right? 10.0002, 10.255, 255, 255. Remember all these things, right? When you come tomorrow. And class B private range is what? 172.16.002. 172.16 dot begins with zeros and ends with 255. So 255.255. And class C is what? 192, 168.0.02, 192, 168, 255, 255. For this, we don't have to pay any money. Anybody can use any of these addresses in their LANs, but for this, you have to pay money to the ISP, and from this they give you. That means 1 dot something 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 is paid public. 9 dot something 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 will be paid. 11 dot something something, got it? 126 dot blah 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 or 100 dot blah blah blah. All these are paid. When you take some WAN connection from the ISP, right? You give them the money and then they will give you public addresses. So this is the whole range. From this whole range, the private is only this much, 10, right? So that means 9 dot and 11 dot are public, 1 dot, 9 dot. Likewise, from this range, only 172.16 to 116, this is private. And likewise in class C, only 190 to 168 is private. Rest is all public. Okay, guys. So I've taken a lot of time. 2 more minutes exceeded. Thank you so much. Any doubts, any questions, please ask. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Yes, guys. Any doubts, any questions, please ask. सब ठीक है? All good? कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है? Anything not understandable? Take my help. Yes, guys, can I have a feedback quick? I can't hear anybody. कोई है?
ठीक everything is okay.
Oh, good. Chalo, thank you so much. So if you
Thank you.
don't have any questions or doubts, then we can say goodbye and see you tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you so
All right,
much.
sir. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for your feedback. Thanks. Bye. Good night. Take care.
Good night.
Nice,
Yeah.
sir.
Bye.
Good night,
Thanks.
sir.
Good night,
Good
sir.
night. Good night. Bye.